Yet another live on cricket.com, we promise, like all the times. And look, Sri Lanka, the last time they won an ODI series against India, at least that I remember, was 1997. I was 5 years old at the time. So look, there's lots on the line tonight. You're watching the cricket.com match preview of this third one international, Sri Lanka and India. And it's the same old story with regards to the flip of the coin and the toss, because Sri Lanka has had the knack to call correctly, lads, and he's called correctly again, and he's batting again. So Sri Lanka got 230 in the first one, then 240, could be 250 today. My name's Avanish, and we are, of course, joined in by the ever smiling Nikhil Popar and Jeet. I know I keep saying that about Nix, but he's a smiler. And what is wrong with smiling? And it's Wednesday, so hope you guys are having a great week. Jeet, I'll start with you. Shocking changes. No KL, no Arshdeep. Parag and Pant come in. Talk to me.
Yeah, I'm very surprised. I was actually hoping for two changes before this game. One was, of course, Riyan Parag coming in place of Shivam Dube, and the second was Harshit Rana finally getting a chance because he's been there traveling with the squad since the Zimbabwe series, but he hasn't got a single game. So I was hoping he gets a game this time around as well, but sadly that hasn't happened either. So a bit surprised with Ashdeep Singh sitting out as well, but I think Riyan Parag definitely deserves a chance at least in this format of the game, and we need that extra spinner because you don't want to be relying upon Rohit Sharma or Shubman Gill to be rolling their arm over unnecessarily. So at least we have got those 7 to 8 overs sorted with Riyan Parag, and he's a phenomenal batter of spin as well. So that's the one change I'm really happy about. But having said that, Rishabh Pant, KL Rahul, I'm not too certain because look, I mean, KL again, just 2 games and he's sitting out. So plenty of questions to ask here. I mean, I'm not too sure about what Gautam Gambhir is trying to squeeze out of this entire tour.
Yeah, it just makes you think, Nix. I mean, we'll talk about Sri Lanka's change in a bit because, of course, they've made a Tiksana change for Dhananjaya, I think it is, for whatever reason. But coming to India's changes, your first thoughts about KLR not in the starting 11?
Well, he can't be blamed if you lose. So happy for that. He won't be the scapegoat. So it is how sad, but actually how apt that this is how it's eventually become with KL. That whatever he does, he gets blamed or he's held hostage that you are responsible, you don't change the game, and others are always allowed a free pass around him. But very interested in seeing Shivam Dube as a second pacer then, potentially bowling with a new ball. That is something that I never thought, even in my wildest of dreams, that India would open the bowling with Shivam Dube and Siraj.
And that's an excellent observation because that just skipped my mind right now. When I'm thinking about it, I'm like, bloody hell, Dube is going to be sharing the new ball. And it's still not overcast by any means because I'm looking at the weather conditions right now. I think we should get a full game like we've already got. Riyan Parag did receive his ODI cap from Virat Kohli, so that must be some sort of special occasion for him. But how do you think it's going to go next? Because you mentioned a very good point right now. Do you think now Dube will probably be forced to bowl minimum 6 to 7, you expect?
No, I don't think so. I could even be wrong that they may not even start with him if they want to go the pace and spin route. And I'm genuinely hoping they also try that. That okay, if you want to give Shivam a ball, give him a couple of overs, but then resort to spin. You've seen in both the games so far, the new ball has been the best time to bat. So that make it harder for the batter by getting in your best bowlers earlier, whether it is Sundar, whether it is Aksar. So try and get into the game early. The matchup bit is far overrated. You could still bring in Aksar Patel very early because you have two righties opening the batting for Sri Lanka. So you can still bowl him. And that is something that I'm looking forward to. 6 overs of Shivam is not something that I think will happen because you have Sundar, you have Kuldeep, you have Aksar, you have Riyan Parag. That is 40 overs done right away. So post that, I expect Riyan to bowl all 10. Rohit bowled in the last game. I won't be surprised if he bowls again. So I don't think the number is something that's in their mind. What I'm looking forward to is wickets early. You have to try and keep the score down, but take wickets early because eventually you are allowing the tail to score. So even I'm not saying you take wickets early and then don't allow because that will never happen. India will always give the runs to tail. So try and minimize the gap earlier itself and see how it goes because Arnold says the deck has a lot more cracks and the ball may not just turn but also spit on the batter. We should be in for a cracker game.
And that what literally makes that Riyan Parag selection fascinating, right, Jeet? Because we thought that Sri Lanka prior to the second ODI were overkilling it with spin. They only went in one seamer, but look what happened there. India got eaten up badly. Do you think Parag can actually now probably bowl five, Dubey bowls five, so that void is filled? And because there's so many lefties in the Lankan batting order, Parag also makes sense with an extra off spinner with Sundar being there.
Yeah, I mean, there is a strong chance he may potentially not bowl his full quota of 10 overs because at least how I see it is, of course, Siraj taking the new ball and potentially Akshar Patel, sharing that new ball with the two right-handers opening for Sri Lanka. But in the middle overs, it's going to be crucial because you've got Washington Sundar against the left-hand batters of Sri Lanka. You've got Kuldeep Yadav and you've got the versatile Riyan Parag, who's, of course, going to chip in with his off-spin and wrist spin depending upon the batting type. So I think it's fairly well sorted. It's just about how they balance these overs between Riyan Parag and Shivam Dube. Shivam Dube might just chip in with say 3 or 4 overs after the power play, and that's pretty much all his role is going to be. But I think Riyan Parag in the middle overs is going to be very very crucial. But having said that, look, I'm just wanting to see no more experimentation that we have seen on this entire tour. I do not understand what Gautam Gambhir has been trying. Riyan Parag is fine. Sorry. In the T20s, we saw Surya Kumar Yadav, Rinku Singh. ODIs, we've seen Shubman Gill and Rohit Sharma. Are these guys going to be bowling in any bilateral series or any World Cups, whether it's ODIs or T20s? We are not. So, what are you trying to get out of this? Let's just stick to our key bowlers. Let's just give them their full quota of overs and try to finish off games. Don't try these unnecessary experimentations. And even today, I'm hoping we don't see any more overs from Rohit Sharma or Gill. Just stick to our key bowlers and get the job done.
See, that's the thing, right? Many people might be disagreeing with you here slightly, saying these are the kind of redundant bilateral series to try out all of this garbage and experiments. I know it didn't work out for Gill because ultimately, if you look at that game, conceded 14 and then it went down to the wire. So small little things like this, which you should get the result, but so many times we've just we don't care about the results. We want to see experiments. We want to see, bold choices being made by this Indian team. So still yet to kind of lash out and Gambhir. Let's see how it goes over the course of time. Sanjay Papiguri, good to see you. Thoughts on this surface of the series? I mean, it's been great for ODI cricket, whatever the surfaces are. So, like Nick's mentioned about Russell Arnold's pitch report there, it could spit in the batters today. And Sai Madhav, good to see you. We took your comments. Damodar saying hello as well. And Sai Madhav yet again saying, Rowe literally said this is not a practice match of Champions Trophy and do all the experiments. I mean, and look, at least there is a clear distinction between the squads right now with Virat and Rohit now, of course, bidding adieu to T20 internationals. You can see that there is a pathway and hopefully there is role clarity that we've been harping upon on this show, right? I just want to talk about Rishabh Pant now, lads, because I don't know when was the last time he played ODI cricket, let alone anything else to do with the 50-over format. How do you see this inclusion? And if he does well, Jeet, does he then give another problem to Gambhir with KL, of course, waiting on the wings?
Look, personally, I would prefer KL Rahul in this format. With Rishabh Pant, it's been actually very weird because, when he first burst onto the scene, he was known to be a six hitter. But his best format has been the test format and his worst format has been the T20F format. So it's been very, very weird given how he started early in his career. But having said that, if he does well, he can act as a backup option. But right now, KL Rahul is perfectly suited to this format of the game. We know T20Is are ruled out with him because he's got issues with his strike rate and how he paces his innings. Well, this is the perfect format. And like I mentioned even before that, KL Rahul is one of the few batters who's got very less technical flaws. So here's his best time, whether it's a spin friendly pitch or a pace friendly pitch, he's got the game to counter it. It's just that he needs a regular and a consistent stretch of games. Like what has happened in this series, it's probably not fair. I mean, getting 2 games and again sitting on the bench, there is no point of that. And Rishabh Pant is not some newbie, getting a gig over here. So it's best to probably stick with KL Rahul because he's got the game to succeed in this format of the game. With Rishabh Pant, right now we've got to that stage where it's probably best for him to, just be constricted to the test format because we know the impact he's had in that format of the game versus the white ball formats. Even in the IPL, we've seen, those bit of struggles for him to actually make the things count. So I'm a little bit split right now, but, if I had to call the shots, it would have been KL Rahul for me a long way from here on as well.
And all day long for me as well. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Bangalore boy. I'm just thinking, what's the reasoning with Pant's inclusion right now? Because yes, if he does well, you're just like, Pant in ODIs, and that's the chatter. But then if he doesn't do well, be like, oh, why did KL get dropped in the first place and all of that bullshit? And I think KL's anyway got a lot of credit in the bank in ODI cricket. I've said this before, not just because of the World Cup run, not just because of the amazing DRS calls that he helps Rohit with. But Nix, can you put a finger on why Pant's been included in this must-win game for India to just save grace? But also, why? What is the thinking?
Supposedly he can, and of course I hope that he does come out firing, so to speak, in terms of how we are looking forward to people that, oh, Rishabh Pant, you think of Rishabh Pant, you are thinking aggressive shots, you're thinking, oh, he'll put the bowler under pressure. But we, for some reason, don't trust KL Rahul to do the same thing because we judge him by the T20 image of him in our minds. So it's very weird that it continues to hold space, even in this format where his numbers are phenomenal. But maybe something that we'll see today because the conditions are not going to be easier. So let's see how Rishabh goes about it. Now, again, see, Rishabh is a kind of character where you know what you're going to get with him, and it's a double-edged sword. But for some reason, we are always happy to take that risk, even then. Okay, let's go ahead and do it. As you know, Jeet also pointed out, his best format is the test format because teams are aggressive then. So the fields are open for him to access different parts of the ground. In ODIs, in white ball cricket, teams are defensive in terms of what they bowl to him because they know there are certain areas that he can target. So this will be a good challenge. If it wants to be a shootout, I think eventually it could be a shootout between Shreyas, KL and Pant, which we eventually did see coming before the start of the series, that they could all be playing for two spots. And who knows, that may eventually come through. So Rishabh has to make most of this chance because if he doesn't do well here, it doesn't help KL's case because you've already dropped him. And one game, I don't know how much it means. So it's really up to what Gambhir is thinking in terms of this is what I want from Rishabh, whether it is aggressive batting or whatever it is, we'll see today.
Because they've also kind of been promoting your Akshar. I think they did it with Sundar as well. I'm guessing, do they need that left-hander in that middle order? That's why Pant comes in, because I don't know. You guys can let me know. And we, in fact, put a live poll out right now in this live. So just hop on and not just like the video, but vote as well. If you guys agree with KL being dropped today in this third one international, tell us your thoughts, because I think it is not fair for KL in many ways. And Sai Madhav pointing out New Zealand 2022 was the last match that Pant played in ODI. So it's been, what, nearly 2 years in that regard. Right. Let's talk about Sri Lanka just a little bit, boys, because we're very close to the first ball happening in this all-important ODI. And one change, like I mentioned, spinner for spinner. The last time they did this, Van der Sar came in for Hasaranga and he got 6 for. Don't tell me bloody Theekshana will come back in with a 5 or something like that. But what's the reasoning there? Has Dhananjaya pulled up? Is it a tactical call? Jeet, I'll give you the shot at this first.
Yeah, it's potentially a tactical call because, one of the things that was quite distinctly visible was the spinners struggling in the power play. They were struggling to make an impact in the power play, whether it was Dunit Vellanagi or anybody else. And you've got Theekshana, who's meant to bowl in the power play with the new ball because he's got decent control as compared to the other spinners. So potentially that is something that they could be looking at, because in terms of team balance, they've got a pretty similar balance. Even they are going spin heavy. So by adding Theekshana, they can get that phase coverage as well. They've got the spinners for the middle overs. They've got spinners who can chip in at the death as well if required. But they don't have somebody who can have a real impact in the power play. And that is where I think Theekshana comes into the picture. So it's a fair call, I would say. I think we might see a very, very similar tactics from both sides where, both the bowling teams will be opening the bowling with a pacer and a spinner. So I think it's going to be fairly similar. So I personally don't really mind that. And it's a decent call for them also to see how Theekshana goes about it.
Yeah, one of the quotes that Sri Lanka gave us at the toss, boys, is that he would like to see someone score 100 on this pitch. And despite the spin-conducive conditions, I think if someone really bides their time, they could get going. I know Nissanka came close. Not at all in the second ODI, but in the first ODI, he got 56, and he's been among the truckload of runs. So maybe that's him. But Nick, speaking about the power play, because both of you all have just talked about it, like, what is India's formula, right? Do you think it'll be Siraj and Dubey for the first 6 overs, 3 and 3, and then Akshar comes in? Who's your spinner in your power play from an Indian perspective?
Yeah, I would definitely start with Siraj and Akshar. I won't be surprised if they start with Siraj and Shivam for a couple of overs just to see if there is anything out there. And then immediately, I don't think this is a game where you can wait. And this is not because India are a game behind. This is just because the nature of the pitch demands you to do so. And that's what Sri Lanka have also done, right? They've got in a spinner for the power play. You already have two people in Akshar and Sundar who can bowl in the power play. And they've done that in the past. And it's Sundar is not someone who you cannot bowl to righties. He bowled the super over for a reason. You trusted him to do that. So to me, it will be Siraj and Akshar to start. And with Siraj also, I'll give him 3 over burst. If he doesn't take a wicket, take him off, get the other spinner on. I don't think this is a game, and the first the games are enough proof for you to not wait for the mistake. You have to try and go after the 10 wickets and see whatever works out for you. Don't worry about who will bowl at the end. The game is going far away from you, even when it is going towards the end. So, Siraj and Akshar to start. Sundar Kuldeep immediately if you don't get wickets in the first 5.
Yeah, I was just looking at the stats that our boys had sent us, and Siraj has bowled the most maidens, believe it or not, since 2023 in ODI. So, of course, when he has his tail up, he can go through an opposition, and Sri Lanka know that better than anyone. Now, a couple of other interesting stats. Remember, India haven't won a single game this ODI series so far, and we put it up in the first ODI saying if India beat Sri Lanka today, they'll get 100 wins. So that'll be the first against an opposition in ODIs. And also the other stat, Jeet, is Sri Lanka playing their 300th ODI game at home today. Now, only other 4 sides have done that. But when you think about Sri Lanka and their home dominance in ODIs, what era do you look back on? Do you automatically think Kalavartana, Jayasuriya opening the batting, Atapattu in that middle order, or do you think more recent with Jayawardene and Sangakkara?
Now I'd go more recent because I haven't watched a lot of Ramesh Kaluvitharana and all these guys. I've watched a bit of Maru Natapattu and all of them, but it's primarily been during the time when I've watched a lot of Maila Jayawardene, Kumar Sangakkara, Tilakaratne Dilshan. So I think that is where my thoughts go. Muthai Muralidharan. That was an exceptional team that they had. A classy right-hand batter, a classy left-hand batter, an aggressive opener, and always, I mean, they've got spinners and a plethora of spinners with massive impact. So even Chaminda was to add to that. So I think that era holds a little bit closer to my heart since that those are the players that I've watched a lot. So I think that, and that also potentially was one of the periods of dominance as well, because that is where it was almost impossible to defeat them at home because these guys were just outstanding. So yeah, that's a phase that I'm attached with.
Well done. We have the ritual done for the day.
Sorry. I hate it when I do that because I'm scrolling through different things, and apologize if I'm screaming in your ear on this Wednesday afternoon. But keep your comments coming through and like this video. And I'd love to always throw back certain games and give you trivia because that's part of our preview. And I would just talk about a game which happened 16 years ago and try to see if Nikhil and Jeet remember this one. 2008, August 20th, Dambula. 142 was Sri Lanka all out for, and India won it by 3 wickets. This is 2008. Do you have any recollection of this game? Jayasuriya played.
Was Ramesh Pawar part of it?
Ramesh Pawar was not part of it. So India's bowling attack was Praveen Kumar, Zach, Munaf, Irfan, Harbhajan, Yuvraj. And Zach got 4 for 21 in 9.5 overs. That's madness. Absolutely madness. And India won by 3 wickets, guys. And guess who opened the batting for India that day?
Zach.
One's currently playing in this 11, and one's a commentator for Star Sports.
Oh, okay. So
left-right combination.
Yeah, Irfan right.
Yeah, Irfan was one, and the king was the other. Virat Kohli.
Virat was opening.
Maybe it was Kohli's debut. He got a 37 odd, and then there was Raina, Yuvraj, Dhoni, Rohit Sharma batting after Dhoni.
That was actually Badrinath's debut, if I'm not wrong.
Correct. And Badrinath got 27-57 to see them home. Eventually, I think
that I don't recall.
Yeah, it was a mad match, absolute mad match. But we'll kind of give you these little throwbacks, and that's what I meant by telling you a little bit of trivia as well. Time to quickly just discuss a couple of questions before we see proceedings. We're not doing a watch along, obviously, but just a keen eye on the third one international. Why always with KL Rahul saying Crick Shubendu? I mean, we answered this at the start of the show, Crick Shubendu or Shubendu. Thanks for joining us. And it's sad, but it is what it is. Let's see how Pant fares as a keeper in ODIs after so long. Bro, better put disclaimer before headphones. Must. What was that, dude? Sorry, I forgot. My bad. Literally, I was upset with myself more than anything else. And were there any other stats that we want to show you? We, in fact, wanted to show you a couple of stats because this is available on the cricket.com website as well. Now, there were a couple about Rohit Sharma, and this is what he did in the last game. So just keep an eye on whether he will actually do it again with regards to a quick fire 50. And you even talk about Rohit and what he's been doing as an opener. That we can, of course, see later on in the second innings. But final thoughts, guys, predictions then. Knicks, like I said at the top of the show, 230 was their first ODI, 240 in the second, 250, you reckon, the third?
No, I'm generally hoping for below 200. If it is 250, then Sri Lanka take the ODI series. Won't be easy to bat, especially if it's dry and continues to get worse. So I think Kuldeep has bowled too well to not get any wickets in terms of wickets in bunches. Maybe today is the day we could see a good 4-4 from him. Or if not, then Riyan Parag, who knows. But yeah, I'm not calling who's winning this, but keep it below 200.
Jeet, you agree? Because that's a bold call from Knicks. If they get 250, he reckons that's a winning total.
Yeah, I'm thinking more around 220 because I know it's a fresh pitch, but fresh pitch in Sri Lanka still has got cracks on it, like Rasalan mentioned. I think Mohammad Siraj can actually open up this game a lot in the power play. He's not a swing bowler, but even these fresh pitches, if you land it on the crack, somebody like Siraj can be really, really effective. So I feel he's going to have a huge impact in the power play to restrict Sri Lanka to below 220. It could be below 200 for all we know, but it's going to be another low scoring one, and India should win this.
Okay, I echo those thoughts with Jeet. Hopefully it's 1-1 in a 3-match series, and I don't know why they couldn't play a super over to decide that first game. But nonetheless, Shankar, we all make those thoughts as well.
Actually, that is something we should actually say. I got it wrong. There is supposed to be a super over play. So the officials actually got it wrong that they had to play a super over. But for some reason, they just thought, nahi khelna. Enough for the day.
Yeah, it was questionable at the time. A lot of laymen on the road just kept asking that, saying, isn't it a norm right now in cricket that super overs happen? But we were stumped, and so were the series at large. Shankar pointing that comment out because all Indian fans absolutely hearing the fact that Vinesh was disqualified and all of that, it just didn't fit well. But thank you for that comment. And please like this video, guys. We will be back later doing the review after the game is done, and we'll take all your questions then as well. Before I do sign off, there's an excellent piece which I just want to reflect quickly for y'all because I have a little couple of minutes, and that is on our website. And it's about how Charit Asalanka's golden arm has rightly caused India a surprise. It's written by Anindra Suresh. There's a lot of fantastic data in it. So go check it out. For example, 91 balls that he's bowled, 6 wickets taken, a wicket every 15 deliveries while maintaining an economy of 3.29. We're talking about Charit Asalanka here, not Muralidharan by any stretch. So things like that, always available on the cricket.com website and the app. I know like a couple of writers have come peering to the screen as soon as I've said that, but I'll see them shortly in office. And that's all we have in this one. Thanks so much for your time, Nikhil and Jeet. And subscribe to the cricket.com channel if you haven't already. There's more fun stuff coming out later on, so stick around. You don't want to miss that. Cheers, boys. I'll see you post-match.
Cheers.